What is up, crap stains? JJ back here with Mangone, talking some more PGA. This time it's for the Northern Trust at TPC Boston on Thursday, August the 20th. Mangone, you were close again last week with Billy Ho, almost closing another outright for you. Any takeaways from that tournament aside from the little mini collapse from your boy Billy?
The only thing I wish I could have hedged, I was trying to find a hedge opportunity, JJ. The key was I was like, when Billy Ho was leading, the whole thing I was looking at was, can I get someone to tie Billy Ho, right? Can I get someone to be at like the same, be like maybe 2 strokes difference and both be at 20 under? And they both flipped. Like it was like, okay, Herman was minus 20 and then he came minus 21 and then you switch it and Horschel at the same exact time ended up being minus 20. So the hedge opportunity didn't get there for me. Maybe I should have been more aggressive with it, but ultimately, it was a fun event, but I'm excited to get the big boys back, right? The good golfers, because I don't think those birdie fests and those like terrible golfers out there, because dudes like Jim Herman end up winning the whole thing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it wouldn't have been easy to hedge with Herman either, right? I mean, that wouldn't have been an easy hedge to make. I mean, maybe a little later if the timing was right, but wouldn't have been easy regardless. Okay, so to recap last week, overall we drop a little under half a unit, takes us to a little north of 12 units since the onset of these videos. I dropped my 2 plays for 1.5 units. Ryan Moore top 20. Ryan Moore over Sungjae Im. Quite a tilting end for him, huh? Man, going bogey in that last hole to miss the cut. Pat Reed top 20. Mangone hits plus 100 for 0.75. He hits Billy Ho top 20 plus 175, and then we drop a unit on the outrights. But yeah, looking forward to this week. And Mangone, with this course, and obviously these good golfers coming back, is there a different approach maybe, or is it the same kind of standard tee to green, guys who are hot with the sticks? Is that the kind of same angle we're looking at for this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking for some good tee to green guys. I'm looking for guys again, like good, I want the good ball strikers, and I'm okay taking like this is my area, right? I talked about it when Morikawa won, right? This is where I thrive. Bad putters. I'm good with the bad putters. I love taking the ball strikers. That's what I always go for. And these greens are a bit fast, so I think you could see some bad putters win again. So yeah, ultimately, I'm liking this course. I think this is going to be a really good one. I think the stats I'm looking at the most, I'm looking at off the tee. This feels a lot like the course that actually Morikawa won. It's a par 71. We talked about how DJ, early on in that video, we said DJ, he'll have that length and he should compete because that'll help him because it's a longer course. It's obviously not like a par 72 where you're giving people more strokes. So that was something that played in his hand. I think that's going to be similar here. You're going to see the score at around like minus 15, minus 16, minus 14, around that. People are going to score. We're going to want to get guys that are getting birdies. We want guys getting buckets, JJ. So I'm definitely going to be looking at dudes that can score. I don't want the Jimmy Furicks of the world who are sitting there just grinding out par. And it'll be a fun event.
We hate on Jimmy Furyk.
Yeah, I always hate on him. Except he is like the dude that shot like a 59 once. So I mean, he can get the low score, but that was way back in his day.
So this tournament in particular, and obviously you mentioned the par 71 looking like not so much a birdie fest per se, but you are saying 15, 16 under probably wins you this tournament. With regards to some bets you like, and we'll do outrights last, but what are some bets you're targeting? I know that, Xander's hot coming in, right? Obviously your boy Morikawa, but what are some bets maybe you're targeting? Maybe it is those 2 guys.
Yeah, so I would love to put Morikawa on the card. I wanted to, but I ended up not. He's a really hot golfer, and I think it could work out for him. Just betting off the majors a little difficult, so I decided to stay away. I really thought about it though. I thought long and hard. If you want to, let's say Colin made you some money and you want to put something on, I wouldn't argue against it if you wanted to add another golfer to your card. I might actually add one more guy, but we'll have to see. So Hideki right now, I have him. He's someone I really like here in this spot, but the way Hideki works, right? So he's really good all around, right? Strokes gained tee to green, he absolutely crushes. He's typically good around the green, hasn't been good at that lately, and that's not really something to worry about. The ball striking is good as always. The putter has been a disaster, JJ. I mean, he is literally one of the worst putters, but we did see recently his putter has turned a bit, and that's a good sign, right? Seeing the putter flip is always good, and once it flips, it can flip really quick. So, and on top of that, this is his best putting surface. And these are fast greens. And the thing about fast greens, that's a great sign for him, right? Because if it's fast greens, it can neutralize the putting for everyone. And Hideki's a dude, when he wins, he runs away with it. Like he's a guy just like he'll be out in front. Like we saw right before the quarantine, he shot like an 8 under, and like no one was even close to him. When Hideki's hot, he's hot. So I'm gonna top 20 him. I'm gonna top 5 him here. We'll do 0.25 units there at +7.
There you go. There you go, Mangone. Grabbing the balls. I like it.
Yeah, so we're getting the T5 on him. He might make his way in the outright segment, right? He might make his way in there. We'll talk about it when we get there. Xander, I also got him. And again, I've been liking the top 20s. They've been pretty good. And Xander's been really awesome, just all around getting strokes everywhere. I think this course could line up pretty well for him. I got the top 20. We're going to put 0.75 units. So I'm only risking a unit there, but then I'm risking the rest. I'm risking 0.75 on outright. So I'll leave the rest to you, and then I'll kind of talk about the outright bets I like.
Okay, yeah. So for me, I'm going back to a guy that I mentioned often on these shows, guy that kind of let me down a little bit a few weeks ago. But Mr. Consistency per se, Patrick Cantlay, just love this dude's game. And ultimately, this is a course with a lot of good golfers, right? You would assume Cantlay should be able to come into this course, make the cut at a low number or at a decent number to hang with the pack, and then maybe make a surge. That's been my problem with him, is like he's been like so consistent with like not so much bogeying, but he just hasn't really been getting a lot of the birdies to really pile up a score late to hang in there to win one of these things. But you know, a lot of things have been going right for him. Well, let me be more clear. He hasn't been doing a lot wrong. I just don't think he's been doing enough right. And hopefully maybe this is the tournament that it happens. So ultimately, I think you can play Cantlay in his matchups with who he's matched up against or who he will be and guys in his similar neighborhood. But play him against anybody except Hideki, okay? Because I know Mangone likes Hideki, and it's not somebody I really want to match him up against either. But I do like him. So on DraftKings, they have that matchup, right? Him versus Hideki. But it's okay, though, because on DraftKings, I'm going to go top 20 half unit on Cantlay at +163, and then top 30 at half unit at -120. Now it'll be a full unit there. And I get it. Most of you guys aren't going to be able to get top 30s. But if your book is offering you top 20, obviously you could bet that. You can do it for a full unit. Or the matchups, just anybody, again, except versus Hideki. Not a spot I really want to target, but again, anybody else in his range. And again, feel free to shoot me a message in the Discord if you have any questions on who you have at your books. But yeah, ultimately, that's my guy this week, Mangone. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Cantlay. It's funny, like I was bouncing around, and man, I was looking at all these guys, and I was like, there's a lot of golfers I want to bet. One thing I'll say too is like this isn't an event where I see like a dude like that's like 125 to 1 winning. I don't really see that. Like the furthest I went on an outright was 70 to 1. And mainly because I just thought that price was a little egregious on him. But I think you're going to see a lot of cream rise to the top. You're going to see a lot of the really good golfers up there. And yeah, ultimately, I think it's going to be a really fun event, really competitive. And it's one of the playoffs, right? It's like the first start of the playoffs. All these guys will be out there gunning for it. It's for tons of money. You want to win the FedEx Cup. They want to get up there at the top. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome one.
Now, let me ask you this, and this is kind of a side question. Do you overtake or overanalyze like a golfer day to day? Like for instance, so a golfer in a tournament like this, maybe coming in, got great tee to green numbers in his recent tournaments, got great history at the course, comes in day one and just can't seem to find a green, struggling with his irons, but maybe finds a way to putt well enough to make him like even or only drop a shot. Do you like look at a golfer like that into day two and you're like, this guy's just off, and I'm going to target him in matchups, or maybe I'm going to try to fade him the rest of the weekend if he makes it? Or do you kind of use that course history and just assume the guy will bounce back? I've always wondered that with guys that have been doing golf for a while and watching golf for a while and betting golf for a while. Do you overanalyze 1 to 2 days in a 4-day tournament, or do you just go off of that historic numbers that an individual golfer has?
To be honest, I probably should do that a little bit more. I play a ton of DFS, right? So I've been doing DFS and golf betting, but the guys I really track are the DFS guys that I'm playing. So a great example of this was Abraham Answer. I forget what event it was, but it was the first day I think he shot like -1 or even, or maybe even +1. And I was just like looking at it, and I went and looked at all the numbers, and I was like, man, you're telling me Answer gained all his strokes putting and he struggled on approach? Like that's what he's good at. Like, how is that possible? And it could flip one way, right? It could flip where you see a guy like Abraham Answer, that out of nowhere, his irons are back and he's perfectly fine. I like to build up the sample size a little bit. One thing I like to look at when we're betting those outrights on Sunday, JJ, and I think that's what got us on Justin Thomas that one time, at least got me on it, made me more confident, which got me more confident on Colin Morikawa, is looking at the putting. If you're looking after 3 days of rounds, like let's say 3 rounds go by and some dude who can't putt is putting lights out, it's not just going to, crap out on the last day, right? Like, I just don't see that happening because he's been putting so well. He's been seeing these greens so well. I just don't think on the last day it just craps out then. I think it craps out another week. I don't want to bet against a guy who is a hot putter after 3 days. I think that's the wrong move to go with. So, and that's what I looked at. Right when Justin Thomas started out his round, he had gained strokes putting on the first 2 holes. He gained he gained strokes putting. It was 1.2 strokes. I was like, I'm going to get on him now. I mean, he's putting well to start out the day. And that was the same with Morikawa. He was one of the hot putters. And when we were on the live show, I said, let's jump on this guy. I mean, he's typically a terrible putter. And on top of that, he's putting really well right now. And he probably knows the surface really well because he played there. So those are the type of things I look for. Like I said before with Answer, I worry sometimes, but I don't want to worry after 1 round. I want to see a little bit more, at least kind of get 2 rounds in. And, weather could have played a factor, right? He could have just had a really bad weather time. He could have obviously just hit the ball in the water on 1. Like, if you hit the ball in the water on 1, that's really going to kill your approach numbers for 18 rounds. It's still a pretty small sample. So if you're going to look at those numbers and dive in, at least, kind of figure out what's going on with the numbers and make sure there's not too much noise.
That makes a lot of sense too, and thanks for explaining. I know that some of this sometimes you can get lost in the weeds, right, with detail, and sometimes we all overanalyze our own process with one thing or another. But no, thanks for the explanation. Okay, so I guess the only thing left here, man, going is outrights. So what are you thinking here?
Yeah, we can definitely do the outright. So I'll go with this. Hideki's my favorite guy on the week. Like when I was building my DFS lineups, I was like, man, the upside this dude has at that price, I was like all in on it. Then I looked at, some of the book prices, I started reading up on him and I was like, man, if the putting just flips, he is going to crush. Like, he really is. So we're just banking on the putter flipping and the fast green in his preferred surface. I'm going to put 0.25 units. It's the most units I'm going to put. We're going to be 0.75, but the most is going to be on Hideki at 45-1. I just feel pretty confident with him. That was my conviction on Morikawa. I actually ended up, putting the most on him of all my guys. So yeah, I'm going to go with Hideki here at 0.25 units. We're also going to go with Xander. Xander, he always does really well at these loaded fields, especially the loaded fields that aren't majors, right? He always just seems to pop. And he's been really close to popping. I think he could here. 0.2 units. So well. I know. We're going to put 0.2 units on him. I think he's so close to getting there. So 0.2 on him. He is, Hideki said was 45-1. That's over on the DK book. Xander is 22-1. I saw on Bet365. You might even be able to, it might be 20-1. It might be 25-1. Any line is fine. I'm cool with that. Jump on him there. Then we'll go to your boy, Patrick Cantlay. I mean, you talked about it a little bit, JJ. I mean, just like he's an all-around just good golfer in general. Like the price of 33-1 just feels low for him. Wouldn't you agree? That's like a low price for him.
Yeah, so he's not, and I mentioned this before, like he's not making a lot of mistakes, which over the course of a 4-day tournament is huge, right? The problem is just like there's so many head-scratching things that I wouldn't call them mistakes per se, but like he is just, whether it's so crazy because either he's not hitting his 9-foot putts or he's not, his approach just isn't getting there, and then he's hitting his 9-foot putts to save pars. But he's not like, he's just not gaining enough. And I think if everything just comes together in the same tournament, obviously he'll be in the running for 4 days. So yeah, I think it's going to be one of these, right? I mean, with Cantlay, at least where he'll be in the running late. So hopefully it's this one.
Yeah, I'm with you, JJ. I like the Cantlay call. I think he's a good one. And then we're going to go for the long shot, right? And we're not going for the 125-1. We're not going with that because, again, a good golfer is going to win this event. And if you've been playing this since the quarantine, right, you'd be like, okay, Victor Hovland is a good golfer. If you're a guy that's really been only betting since the quarantine, you would be like, Victor Hovland's a top 10 golfer in the world. Listen, he's not a top 10 golfer in the world, but he's making his way there. I mean, he's a really good, young, talented golfer. And things you have to be good at. You have to be able to, I always say, you got to get buckets, right? You got to be getting birdies. And that man does that, right? He gets birdies, eagles, he'll bogey a little bit here, but he
gets hot quick.
Yes, he does. And what's the one thing he's bad at? He can't putt. He can't putt a lick. And we talked about the fast greens. They could play into his favor. That's what the fast greens can do. They can really neutralize putting for everyone. It can take the good putters. It could just take that game completely away from them and really neutralize that. So he's also long off the tee, which you have to be here. You're telling me Victor Hovland is 70-1? He's also been, if you look since the quarantine, I pulled up the stat, it's right here. Since the quarantine over the last 3 months, and again, he's also played a lot of events, so that could be playing into. He's played 32 rounds, and that's a little bit more than some of these other guys. But he's gained 45.1 strokes gained tee to green. I mean, that's a crazy amount. He's been so freaking good. We're gonna go with Victor Hovland as our long shot, right, at 70-1. Again, it's not a super long shot by any means, but this dude has the talent. He should not be 70-1. I'm in on Victor Hovland. Hopefully he can get it done for us as a long shot. We're gonna do 0.1 units on him. So just to recap, Xander is 0.2 for 22-1. Hideki is 0.25 units. That's the most we're risking here at 45-1 because he's my favorite one. We got Cantlay at 0.2. We're going to risk that one. We both like him. Even when I joined the call, I was like, yeah, I like that call, JJ. Let's make that one of the outrights at 33-1. And then Hovland, we're going to do 0.1 units at 70-1.
Perfect. Yeah, and to recap, so I'm on Cantlay top 20 for half a unit plus 163. Cantlay top 30, half unit at minus 120. Mangone is on Hideki for 0.25 units, top 5 at plus 750. Xander top 20 plus 110, 0.75 units. And we have a quick question, Mangone, for our boy. So Corey's asking us on Bryson DeChambeau. Nobody gargles him like we do, but he hasn't exactly been all that recently. Are we kind of taking some away from him, or do we think, as long as he can kind of keep his mental game right, he's going to be competing here on Sunday?
Okay, so here's the thing, JJ. He's a past winner here. So he has won here, and you got to be long off the tee, right? He's long off the tee. So, I mean, why don't we like him? That is a great question. Like, what's your thoughts on him? Not that I don't like him, JJ. I think he's a really good play. I want to play him, but he's got 12-1. Like, man, it's a loaded field. If you're going to bet a 12-1 guy, you don't have as much to kind of divvy up throughout your bets. And I just felt like we were getting a lot of value on some really good golfers. Like, I'm not just talking about like Cantlay and Hideki and all these other guys. Like, let me just pull up the book right now and read you guys that are over 20-1. There's just so many good golfers that are over 20-1 that I debated back and forth on. I mean, I thought going back to Morikawa at 22-1 was interesting. I talked about how DJ was good on that previous course, and he could be good here again at 20-1. Xander, Jason Day, that dude has 4 top 10s in a row. He fired his swing coach. He's just a way better golfer than he was before. And he's someone that has won on the tour and won majors. He can win in these type of fields.
Dave looks great.
Yeah, he's 22-1. Patrick Reed, he's a guy, he's a hot golfer you want to ride, and he's hot right now. 30-1. I considered putting him in my card. Webb Simpson's 30-1. The name is really good. I don't think this course matches up well enough for him, so I'm not super on him. But another one, like Brooks, he's 33-1. I think he's like been playing too much, and I wouldn't be touching him because of that. But again, that name for 33-1 is great. Daniel Berger at 33-1. That dude has been lights out. I mean, absolutely lights out since the quarantine. So it's like they're just, instead of making my card be like, okay, let me bet Bryson and let me bet Rory, and I'll just ride those two out. I wanted to divvy it up a little bit more. And I'll admit, like, some people make bigger cards than me. Like, they'll do like 5 to 6 golfers. And like, if that works for you and you can divvy up in the proper way, sure. But I like to go like maybe like 4, max 5. So there's a chance maybe if I want to get frisky, I'll add one more golfer in here. If I do, I'll post it in the Discord chat and let everyone know. I'll definitely do that. But there's just so many guys. Even Adam Scott at 45-1. He's another guy I considered putting on the card. Tyrell Hatton, who's been playing really good golf, I considered. But the more I looked at it, I was like, I don't need to go to Hatton. I think the number's good, but don't need to. But a lot of good golfers at good lines. Justin Rose is 66-1. I know Justin Rose has been struggling, but that name has like, it's like Justin Rose used to be like 15-1 not too long ago. So there's just a lot of value, I think, on these like guys that are like over 21, even over 30-1. So that's why I'm not on Bryson as much, because if I go Bryson, my card gets destroyed a little bit. I can't like divvy it out a little more.
Yeah, and look, it makes a lot of sense on many accounts, and we've done this before a few times now, where like it's Saturday night, we're on one of the live shows, and we're talking about who's in contention, who's close enough, because like if it's a Saturday night where Bryson's four shots back and there's only like 2 guys ahead of him and he's 4 shots back, I mean, why not take a shot there? I mean, ultimately you'd probably get Bryson there at 20-25-1. So ultimately you're right, Mangone, that like you could argue guys like that are that high at the start It's very rare that a guy like that's going to just go wire to wire. Now Brooks did it when he was 7-1 at that one tournament, or 6.5-1, which he ended up closing at. He basically went wire to wire in that tournament. But that's so rare. I mean, I like the approach. Try to avoid those top guys so that you don't have to, so that your winnings aren't going to be that diminished, and then maybe target them live later on when you can get a better number. I like those calls.
Yeah, real quick, one last thing I'll mention, JJ. So like, if you just look at if you're just like kind of learning golf handicapping and trying to learn to bet outright, so you've seen, just watch the guys that are like 30-1, right? And when they win a tournament, what do? They move up to I don't know, but now he's up like 10 cents.
Look at Billy Ho this week.
Yeah, what's he at now? I didn't even know.
I thought I saw it in the 40s.
Yeah, let me find it real quick. I know it's really high. I definitely wasn't.
Which for this field seems off.
Yeah, I see 60-1 in a spot, but he was 30-1 last week. And look at this field; it's a completely different field. But I wouldn't be shocked if you saw 41 in a different spot. I would not be shocked at all if some books are offering that instead. Ultimately, I don't mind riding when these guys you might see Jason Day scoot all the way down to 40-1, and then maybe you get back on him when you see things turning. Like Hideki was 20-1 not too long ago. I like buying on these guys that are a little past 20-1. It depends on the field and what I'm looking at, but even though past the 30-1, from 30 to 50, there's a lot of value. I always feel like in that range. You just see guys fall. Another great example of it, and I know we're running a little long, but I want to mention this, is Tyrell Hatton. He was 25-1 one week, and then the next week he was 50-1. I mean, what has changed? And the best part about it, JJ, is it was for the major that he was 50-1. So that line was up there. It's not like it was he had a bad round and now the line is 50-1 because of that. No, he was at 25-1 one week, and then next week he was 50-1. It's what has changed with Tyrell Hatton's game? So there's obviously the field was a little bit bigger, a little better, but ultimately I just think there's so much value in this range. That's why I try to live there a little bit.
Well, to me, it's not so much what's changed with their game. It's really what's changed with the market, right? It just seems like people see certain numbers and they're kind of over fluctuating week to week. Now, maybe some of it's justified, maybe some of it's not. But ultimately, I think the market's really dictating those extreme prices. Maybe a sports book will only adjust it 5-10 cents at open versus the week before. Maybe they'll make some adjustments per the tournament, maybe 10-15 cents. But then the market might come in and just over adjust to it. Maybe they didn't like what they saw to some guy one week. I mean, I think we mentioned this on the first time we saw the video. First time we did a video where Justin Rose was 20-1, and then you were debating on playing him in that spot at 20-1. I forgot what tournament it was. It was about 7 weeks ago now. And then the week after he was terrible at that tournament, and the week after his numbers were 45-1. It was basically double what they were, and it was a similar course. So I'm sure you see it all often, and I think it's more market influence. But ultimately, look for those spots where you can find guys, because ultimately it's we addressed this on a few weeks ago in the video. The pre-lines affect the live lines, because ultimately as the tournament progresses, the live lines are going to move as per what the pre-lines were. So, if you're talking about really, really getting good correlated pricing, if a guy like Justin Rose is 60-1 pre-tournament when he really should be 35-1, and now live he's in first place after day one, you might still be able to get him at 6 or 7-1, 8-1, because he opened that tournament at 60-1 versus 30-1. So, always look for those things. And from the market perspective, always, use it to your advantage and to find value. At the end of the day, it's all about value, guys. Okay, Mangone, thanks again. Another good golf video. Always insightful from you here. So, one more question. JT over Bryson?
Yeah, so I'll just say this, and this is a great point about JT that I'm going to mention. I don't love betting these guys against each other at the top unless I have a strong take the one guy is not a good play, right? I think JT and Bryson, they're both good plays this week. I don't have any conviction that one guy's going to be terrible. One argument I'll make, though, is if you see Justin Thomas, if you see his putter really hot, that's when you want to bet him. Let's say after a round or two, Justin Thomas, let's say he's a bad day one or something. He hits one in the water, but he's putting lights out and everything else is perfectly fine. It feels like he's charging. I wouldn't mind hitting him late, as a 15-1 if you can find something like that, or even deeper, a 25-1. The key with Justin Thomas is when his putter's hot, he ain't losing to anyone. I mean, anyone. He's just so good. So has an all-around great game. So that's something I would look for. I'm not betting against JT or Bryson. I think they're both good. But, hopefully we can catch a W from last week, JJ. I think I'm matching you. Do you got the Run Pure Bet shirt on?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you got it in, huh?
Yeah, I just got it in the mail. So, nice. We got the synergy going, and we're gonna take some stuff down now.
Yeah, hopefully. Look, thanks again for popping in. Thanks for everybody who popped in live for the video as well. Look, good luck to us this week. Tomorrow I'll have another video for you, probably for baseball, and then Thursday a live show, then Friday, and then the whole weekend more live shows throughout. So yeah, exciting week ahead of sports in general. Good luck with all your bets, and stay safe, everyone.